how are you? I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of things around you, like the trees, the animals, the plants, and also taking good care of yourself. So, bachcho, we've been reading so many interesting chapters and poems, and they are giving us so many lessons about the reality of life. So, बच्चों देखते हैं ये funny chapter क्या है. This chapter is about meeting the ghost. That's the name of this chapter. Let's see what happens in this chapter, okay, and what is the incident that is being spoken about. So, बच्चों पढ़ते हैं ये interesting chapter which is called Meeting the Ghost. The prologue says, this extract is taken from a Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. It is the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an elderly miser, miser matlab कंजूस, okay, who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the spirits of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. In this story of a miserly man, okay, we are presented with ideas of greed, forgiveness, and tricky concepts of time, as well as themes of generosity and compassion. So बच्चों ये जो story है, it is about, okay, it is the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, okay, जो एक बूढ़े माइजर होते हैं, मतलब उस कंजूस आदमी होता है, उसको माइजर कहते हैं, okay, जिसके घर में उसका पहला जो बिजनेस पार्टनर था जेकब मार्ली, ओके, उसका घोस्ट आ जाता है और उसके साथ साथ द क्रिसमस स्पिरिट दैट इज द पास्ट, द प्रेजेंट एंड द फ्यूचर और येट टू कम कम्स विजिटिंग हिम, ओके. और इस स्टोरी में हमें दिखा दिस स्टोरी ऑफ अ माइजरली मैन, ओके, वी आर प्रेजेंटेड विद द आइडियाज. हमें ग्रीड के बारे में, फॉरगिवनेस के बारे में, ट्रिकी कॉन्सेप्ट्स ऑफ टाइम, ओके, एंड जेनरोसिटी एंड कंपैशन के बारे में सीखने मिलेगा. लेट्स रीड दिस स्टोरी टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस इन अ बेटर मैनर, ओके. सो लेट्स डू अ वार्म अप फर्स्ट. व्हाई डू यू थिंक क्रिसमस कैरल इज सो फेमस? शेयर योर नॉलेज विथ योर क्लास. सो जल्दी जल्दी फाइंड आउट करो कि क्रिसमस कैरल क्यों स्पेशल है एंड अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ और टीचर्स के साथ डिस्कस कर लो. ओके, नाउ लेट्स रीड दिस चैप्टर फर्स्ट. Marley was dead to begin with. There was no doubt about that. The register of burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. So, this story is about Marley who was dead. और there was no doubt कि he is dead because उसका जो burial का register होता है उसमें जो clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, the chief mourner, okay, Scrooge, they have all signed it, okay, and he was dead, okay. Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy set of rooms. The building was old enough and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it, but Scrooge did, the other rooms being all let out as offices. So, Scrooge जो थे वो और Marley, they were partners, okay, और बहुत सालों से वो partners थे और Scrooge उन्हीं chambers में रहता था जो उसके partner को belong करते थे. ओके, दे वर लाइक ऑल ग्लूमी रूम्स, एकदम ऐसे जहाँ पे ज़्यादा रोशनी नहीं आती थी, ऐसे ग्लूमी से रूम. जो बिल्डिंग थी वो काफ़ी पुरानी हो गई थी एंड डरावनी सी, ड्रेरी सी हो गई थी, ओके. कोई भी नहीं वहाँ पे रहता नहीं था, तो बट स्क्रूज वहाँ पे रहता था, ओके. उसके साथ जो दूसरे रूम्स थे, जो दूसरे कमरे थे, वो उन्होंने ऑफिस को रेंट पे दे दिए थे. Scrooge locked himself in, double locked himself in, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before the low fire to take his grill. So Scrooge जो था कि उनके नहीं, मतलब उनकी जो आदत ही नहीं थी पहले से, बट वो अपने आप को लॉक कर चुके थे उस रूम के अंदर. He used to lock himself in that room, डबल लॉक करके बैठते थे, ओके. और अगेंस्ट हिज सरप्राइज क्योंकि ही यूज टू टेक ऑफ हिज क्रावेट, जो कपड़े पहनते थे वो उसको चेंज करके ड्रेसिंग गाउन में बैठ के, स्लीपर्स पहन के, रात को जब वो छोटे से फायर प्लेस के आगे खाना खाने बैठे थे. As he threw his head back in the chair, his glance happened to rest upon a bell a disused bell which hung in the room and communicated for some purpose now forgotten with a chamber in the highest story of the building. It was with great astonishment and with inexplicable dread that as he looked, he saw this bell begin to swing. Soon it rang out loudly and so did every bell in the house. सो जैसे वो बैठे थे वहाँ पे ओके और रिलैक्स करके अपना हेड उन्होंने चेयर पे पीछे लिया तो के ही हैपन टू रेस्ट अपॉन अ बेल, जो बेल होती है ना उसके ऊपर ही हैपन टू रेस्ट. ओके, नाउ दिस बेल वाज नॉट यूज्ड. ओके, इट वाज जस्ट हंग इन द रूम. ओके, एंड इट कम्युनिकेटेड फॉर सम पर्पस. अब वो बेल जो है उसके साथ कम्युनिकेशन शुरू करती है फॉर सम पर्पस विच वॉज नाउ फॉरगॉटन. ओके, एंड इट वॉज एट द हाइएस्ट स्टोरी इन द बिल्डिंग. कि जहाँ पे ये रहते थे वो सबसे ऊंचे वाले फ्लोर पे रहते थे बिल्डिंग में. ओके, और जैसे उन्होंने देखा कि ये बेल जो है अचानक से वो स्विंग करने लगती है और उसके साथ साथ और भी जो बेल है घर के अंदर वो सारे ही स्विंग करके बजने लगते. दिस वॉज सक्सीडेड बाय अ क्लैंकिंग नॉइज डीप डाउन बिलो as if some person was dragging a heavy chain over the casks in the wine merchant's cellar. Then he heard the noise much louder on the floors below, then coming up the stairs, then coming straight towards his door. It came on through the heavy door, and a spectre passed into the room before his eyes. And upon its coming in, the dying flame leaped up, as though it cried, "I know him, Marley's ghost." The same face, the very same. ओके, सो जैसे जैसे वो बेल की आवाज़ उसको सुनाई देती है अचानक से उसको एक क्लैंकिंग नॉइज सुनाई देता है. मतलब इट इज़ लाइक अ साउंड ऑफ द चेन्स. ओके, उसको सुनाई देता है विच वर लाइक ड्रैगिंग ओवर द कास्क इन द वाइन मर्चेंट सेलर. तो जो धीरे धीरे उसको उस जो साउंड आती है हैवी सी साउंड उसको सुनाई देती है. ओके, और वो देखता है कि वो जो साउंड है धीरे धीरे वो नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ आ रही है, उसके रूम के पास आ रही है, उसके डोर के पास आई है. ओके, और देन उसको एक फील होता है कि कोई तो उसके रूम में ऐसे घूम रहा है. ओके, एंड जब वो उस रूम में ऐसे अचानक से आप देखते होगे फिल्मों में दिखाते हैं कि कोई ऐसे घोस्ट जैसे एकदम फास्ट फुल स्पीड में आता है सामने से ऐसे घूम रहा है. सो वैसे उसको फीलिंग आती है और जैसे जैसे वो फीलिंग मतलब वो जो घोस्ट होता है वो रूम के अंदर होता है तो वो जो फ्लेम होती है वो एकदम से ऐसे भड़क जाती है. Okay, that's the feeling. And then he says that I know him. That's Marley's ghost. Okay, it's the same face. He recognizes the face, the very same. Marley in his pigtail, usual waistcoat, tights and boots. His body was transparent, so that Scrooge, observing him and looking through his waistcoat, could see the two buttons on his coat behind. So, जब Scrooge उसको देखता है वो पहचान जाता है कि this is Marley's ghost. Because he's dressed up in that manner, okay, although he's now looking transparent, but उसके पास उसका same pigtail है, उसके waistcoat है, tights है, boots है, they are like all the same that he recollects, okay, and remembers. Okay, now quickly let's track your performance through my performance tracker. Answer these questions and then you can move ahead with the chapter. Scrooge had often heard it said that Marley had no bowels, but he had never believed it until now. No, nor did he believe it even now, though he looked the phantom through and saw it standing before him, though he felt the chilling influence of its death-cold eyes, and noticed the very texture of the folded handkerchief bound about its head and chin, he was still incredulous. Okay? "How much?" said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. "What do you want with me?" "Much?" Marley's voice. There was no doubt about it. So, Scrooge को पता था कि ये Marley ही है. Okay? So, even though it was like, roaming around and giving him chills, okay, in the room, okay, he still knew that it was Marley's ghost. और वो उसको पूछता भी है कि क्या चाहिए तुम्हें मुझसे, कितना चाहिए. So, Marley says much. Okay, now that was like a doubt. Okay, who are you? Ask me who I was then. Who were you then? In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Now, this is like a conversation between Scrooge and Marley. Okay? Can you sit down? I can. Do it then. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a ghost so transparent might find himself in a condition to take a chair, and felt that even in the event, of it being impossible, it might involve the necessity of an embarrassing explanation. But the ghost sat down on the opposite side of the fireplace as if he were quite used to it. सो अब इन दोनों के बीच में कॉन्वर्जेशन हो रहे एंड वो उसको बोलता है, स्क्रूज उसको बैठने के लिए कहता है. सो ही वॉज नॉट श्योर वेदर इट विल sit or not, but then he sits opposite the fireplace, at the way he used to. You don't believe in me. I don't. What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your senses? I don't know. Why do you doubt your senses? Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You may be an undigested bit of meat, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more gravy than of the grave about you, whatever you are. Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish then. The truth is that he tried to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his horror. So अब ये दोनों के बीच में कॉन्वर्जेशन चल रहा है और वो बोलता है कि you don't believe in me. So he says no, I don't. And what is the evidence, beyond the senses that you have? Why can't you believe in your own senses? ये इनके दोनों के बीच में कॉन्वर्जेशन चल रही है. So he says that even if a slight पेट के अंदर थोड़ी सी भी disorder हो जाए, a slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You can maybe an undigested bit of meat. So they are comparing with, is comparing him like with an undigested bit of meat, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato, there's more gravy than of the grave about you. So whatever you are. So this is like how they are conversing with each other. Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes. Scrooge को ज़्यादा jokes crack करने की आदत नहीं थी. Nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish then. तो वो अपने आप को डर से, he was trying to control his fear. And as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his horror. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom started taking off the bandage round his head as if it were too warm to wear indoors. Its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. So फिर क्या होता है, मतलब वो even if Scrooge is trying to control down, hold down his horror, the fear, but how much greater was his horror, when the phantom, जो phantom था, started taking off the bandage round his head as if it were too warm to wear indoors. Its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. Mercy, dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me? Why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me? So the moment that the ghost takes down his bandage, जो bandage बंधा हुआ था सर पे, जो band बंधा हुआ था, उसको निकालता है. So it's like then he gets really scared. So he is like कि आप लोग मुझे क्यों परेशान करते हो? Why is it that कि मैं हमेशा ghost से, spirit से I'm surrounded? That is what Scrooge is asking questions to himself. So it was like he was trying to be playful. He was trying to be quite sporting and not showing up his horror. But the moment the ghost or the image of a person who is dead, comes in front of him, he gets scared. Mercy, dreadful apparition. Apparition is the ghost. Why do you trouble me? He keeps asking him, why do you trouble me? What is the reason that you're troubling me? Why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me? तो देखो स्क्रूज को इतना परेशान करके रखा था जॉन मार्डली ने. He used to be around him. He used to be troubling him every day because Scrooge had done bad to Marley. He was living in a place which belonged to Marley. So that's why, okay, because Scrooge was a miser, okay, कंजूस आदमी था. He never parted away with whatever things he had, okay, and this led to the death of Marley. So now Marley had turned into a ghost and was troubling Scrooge. So children, when you hear ghost stories, do you get scared? क्या आपको डर लगता है? मुझे तो डर लगता है. कभी कभी मज़ा भी आता है, सुनने में तो बहुत मज़ा आता है, but डर भी थोड़ा थोड़ा डर तो रहता है. So children, I hope that you reread this chapter, learn the important words, the difficult words, their meanings, and don't forget to do the back exercises.